tell them. Yeah, I'm a billboard, and I'm broadcasting like
Welcome back to TImoteo TV Playoff Edition. And it has been a great regular season. We are happy to have been a part of it again, and we are excited about these playoffs coming up. And I know everyone's waiting in anticipation to see who is in, who is out, and who is playing who. So we'll get into that in just a minute here. Let me first introduce my group here. As usual, Buddy Martinez, coach of the Packers. We got Hector Marrero, coach of the Vikings. And of course, Chris Lahr, coach of the Panthers. So good group as usual. So let me get into this here. So let me reveal the first 8 seeds, the teams that are in the playoffs. All right. Number 1, we got the Packers, of course. The only undefeated team, 8-0. Haven't had an 8-0 team since I believe the Eagles like 4 years ago, who ended up winning it all, beating the Packers actually. So congratulations to them securing that 1 seed. 2 seed, the only team that well, one of the teams that almost beat the Packers very beginning of the season, the Raiders, 7-1. Their only loss to that first seed. So they're strong, looking good, 7-1, 2nd seed. We got our 3rd seed, the Panthers. Team that I don't know if anyone expected to get this high. I mean, only had 3 wins in 4 years, and all of a sudden they jumped to the 3rd seed with a 6-2 season. So great job, Panthers. Yeah, it'll be great to see in the playoffs finally. Our 4th seed, another one that I think is quite a shocker also, is the Colts. That came down to this last week with how they won and how some other things played out. They jumped up to that 4th seed, finishing the season at 5-3. Now, real quick about these top 4 seeds, 2 of them are actually from the Justice Division. So even though the head-to-head matchups this year didn't pan out well still overall from division against division, the Justice Division does have 2 of the top 4 seeds, which is a huge step in the right direction for that division. So that's huge. Going then to our 5th seed, the 49ers, 5-3, having that big win in Week 8 against the Eagles, bump them up to that 5th seed. And then speaking of the Eagles, 6th seed. I mean, they were on the border of at the beginning of the season of being only like 1-3, almost maybe not even making the playoffs, but it came out strong. But this last game, losing to the 49ers, putting them at 4-4, dropping them to the 6th seed. And then our 7th seed, we have the Vikings. Been there before, always dangerous that first round of the playoffs. I'm sure we'll talk about here in a little bit. Finishing their season at 4-4. And the 8th and final seed is the Ravens. The Ravens. So they had a rough second half of the season, but they still made it in. So they won the right games that they needed to, and they got it. They're the 3rd team from the Justice Division. So 3 of the 8 teams are from the Justice Division, which is huge and a really big step for them. And also, this is our first year that I believe, one of a few years, where everyone has at least a 500 record or better. So, Ravens are 4-4 on that 8th seed. No one only has 3 wins.
So what's the only team that didn't make it from the piece?
So the only team not to make it from the piece is the Cowboys, the 2-time defending
Cowboy
champions.
curse from the beginning of the year.
Yeah. Redskins.
Change your name to Seahawks. I'm telling you.
They won as the Redskins. They won the past 2 Urban Bowls. Yeah. And this year we're about 2-6. So besides the Cowboys also being 2-6, the Cards, who were the number 1 seed last year, coming into the playoffs, didn't make the playoffs this year, going 2-6. And then we have our new team, the Lions, and the Jets, who are still trying to build. Jets 1-7. Lions 1-7. Jets 0-8. So thanks for those 4 teams playing. Hope to see you back next year, even stronger and better and ready to compete. But thanks for being a part of TImoteo. So, with all that said, it's a lot said. We got a lot going on. But let's get into these matchups, all right? So, first of all, we're going to go to our 3 o'clock games. The first one we're going to focus on is the 2-seed Raiders versus the 7-seed Vikings. The Vikings are known for winning that first game. Every year. So they win that first playoff game, but they're facing a tough Raider team. Chris.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's interesting about these matchups this year is every single matchup they've already played during the regular season. right? And so, and it's very hard to beat a team twice in TImoteo. To beat a team twice is very difficult. And so this first game, I call it the Brother Bowl because you have Heck and Meese going at each other. They know each other real well. It's intriguing because the Vikings, they always look like this. They're always a sub 500 team, give or take a game. And then they come in and they just woo everybody and they win that first and they shock the world the first week and then they go home and they don't do much second week. So it's interesting though, but the Raiders, you know, this isn't the Raiders that snuck up and won it all a few years ago. They were a bum team. I still have no idea how in the world they won that championship. But this is a team built for a chip. This team is legit. You watch the tape. The quarterback play has been excellent. They played swarming defense, and this is the reason why they're 7-1. Week 2, the Raiders won this one 19-12, and so it was tight. It wasn't a blowout. I think that the Raiders, they're 4th on offense, 1st in defense, where the Vikes are 10th in offense, 4th in defense. So the real question is whether or not they can produce enough offensive power to be able to go forward. I think there are always battles, though, but this is the best Raider team I've seen since I've been in TImoteo, which is 6 years. It's the best team, and I think they're going to win this one 25-13.
All right. Heck, what do you think? Are you and Meese even talking to each other right now this week, or is it?
Yeah, we're talking to each other. The one guy wants to keep talking to me is Rob. I work with the guy every day. I mean, he's a coach, and he's also a coach in the Raiders. But I mean, the first game we played each other the second week. I mean, it was a close game in the beginning. Both teams were still trying to figure out the situation of a quarterback maybe, and there was some. Both teams started off slow. I mean, from then to now, both teams got better. Raiders defense is they're not number 1 for no reason. Their defense is good, but our defense is good too. If everybody shows up, offense, Raiders also have the talent there. All Josh has to do is throw the ball up, and he has the receivers to go get them. I have the Vikings winning. The only way we will win this game if our offense show up and if our team show up. I mean, we don't have a special player in our team. We don't have a star player in our team. But if we play together, it's a star team. So I have us winning 20-19.
So close game coming down to the wire. What do you have to say, buddy?
Well, the Vikings, we got to play them this last week, and I was unimpressed. But against the Raiders, I mean, the Vikings live on defense. All right, that's how they get turnovers and they got good field position. They can compete against anybody. They also have had a problem of, heck said, their players coming in. You know what I mean? There have been 2 games I've seen already where Shaq hasn't been there. You know what I mean? And this last week, you know, they came with their B squad against us. So I mean, I don't know if they're really dedicated to winning. You know what I mean? I don't know if they really think they have a chance to compete or if they're just in it, you know, for the giggles. But they have players over there on the Vikings. They got Chris Brown, you know what I mean? They got John, who's a hawk on defense, and he's a good facilitator at quarterback. But the Raiders, I think the Raiders are just too much. Josh, since you're taking over, they're undefeated. You know what I mean? They've been scoring more points than anybody in the league besides, you know, maybe 1 or 2 teams, you know, with Josh at quarterback. The Raiders' defense is number 1 in the league as well. And they got a total of 31 interceptions. And I've seen the way John throws the ball. It looks like they're going to have a couple more. All right, so I could probably see this game kind of getting really out of hand. I don't think they don't have any answer for Lewis or Frank or Xavier on offense. And then on defense, you know what I mean? With those safeties back there, you can't throw it deep. Jumpman Isaiah doesn't have a chance. Me and Josh have been talking. I had to agree with him this week. I got the Raiders winning 40-6.
Woo, big win. I mean, I would say those Raiders probably got the best group of safeties back there. They got a strong group, but the Vikings, if you look at their history too, I mean, you know, you got from Demetrius to John, you know, these veteran quarterbacks on their last year, and then now John, a different John, definitely stepping up. So we'll have to see what happens. So our other 3 o'clock game, 6 seed Eagles versus the 3 seed Panthers. Now this is an interesting matchup. Eagles are partially even in the playoffs because of beating the Panthers in the regular season, so they have faced each other already. But of course, that was like week 3, so a lot's happened. A lot of, you know, both teams I think have gotten a lot better since that week. But yeah, Panthers 6-2, Eagles 4-4. Chris, is going to be different outcome this time.
This is going to be a great game. This is going to be the best game of the week. Mark my words. Between all the matchups, this will be the best game. Week 3, the Eagles did pull it off, 44-31. My Panthers will not give up 40 points, nor will they give up 30 points to another team the remainder of this year. I don't care who we play. This is an epic battle between old versus new. The Eagles, everybody's used to seeing the Eagles in the playoffs. Everybody's used to seeing it in the Urban Bowl. What, 8 of the 9 Urban Bowls they've been in, right? Yep. This is the first playoffs for the Panthers, which is interesting. It's new territory. In some sense, there's a little pressure on the Panthers because they're excited to be here, but they want more. I see a hunger inside my Panthers. Now, this is an epic matchup in terms of the Panthers are second in offense and third in defense, whereas the Eagles are third in offense and fifth in defense. But one of the things I teach my Panthers, it's not about being the best. Our goal is not to be the best. Our goal is to do our best. And there's a difference. I've seen teams out there who are the best who end up losing because they don't do the best. And I guarantee this week and here on out, you will see the Panthers do their best. And I guarantee there'll be epic battles no matter who they face. And I guarantee we're going to win this game and we're going to win it 32-27. And I'm telling you right now, this story of the Panthers, this is the stuff movies are made out of. I mean, the character guys these guys have, the Burlocker story coming from who's this guy hiking the ball to all of a sudden throwing the ball all around with pinpoint accuracy. It's an amazing story. We got guys like Justin, character guy, coming back, who got kicked off the team last year, apologized, now is a staple in the team. It's amazing. Watch out for the Panther story from TImoteo. It's going to be beautiful. And it's going to start this week with a 32-27 win over the Eagles.
All right. Heck, what do you think? Eagles have definitely been there, done that, been in 7 of the 8, Urban Bowls, and Panthers just totally new to this whole playoff thing. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, like Chris said, I actually had this in my mind too. This might be the best game for the playoffs in the first round. The thing about this is going to be a crazy game. The Panthers this year, they did a lot of recruiting. They have talent on this team. Their coaching is better too. Chris came and changed that offense around. But there's one thing you do got to point out. Panthers, they did recruit players, but they also had one of the easiest schedules in their division. They had to play a lot of easy teams in their division. And this past game, they did look good, but they played the Cardinals, which basically the team quit already on their coaches. So they're probably playing with their B squad. But they might show up this week. The Panthers, they play with motivation. If they don't have motivation on their side, they're not going to do nothing. But with motivation on the sideline and the courage that they've been having, they do have a strong sideline. They probably have one of the strongest sidelines in the league right now. But they are a good team. But the Eagles, man, they started off slow. Second half, they've been looking like the old Eagles, like Urban Bowl Eagles. They're always in the championship. But it's going to be a close game. I got the Eagles winning 28-27.
Woo, buddy. Break this tie. What we got?
I don't even know why we're discussing this. I don't know why we took so much time here. The Eagles are a veteran team. The Eagles are going to come out and do what veteran teams do, and they're going to win this game. The Panthers, it was nice. They had all this momentum kind of going in. They look like a good team, but the bus stops here. All right, the game is over. They haven't beat anybody good this year. All right, let's put it out there. Let's just say it. Who have they beat that was good? Nobody. You know what I mean? They haven't beat any good teams yet. They played against the Eagles. They were intimidated the last time they played. They're going to be scared again this week. And I just think you can't stop Leroy. You got Jalil and you got Teddy. These guys, any of these 3 guys can score. Then you got the veteran Jimmy. You know what I mean? Let's look at Chris over there. Chris knows exactly what I'm talking about. This is a facade. The Panthers are not for real. All right, I guess the only reason why they're the 3rd seed is because of their division over there and the easy schedule that it's been in. So let's just put it out there. It's going to be a blowout, 40-7 Eagles.
All right. Well, those are our 3 o'clock games. Come back in our second edition here, and we'll break down these 4:30 games. See you in a little bit.